welcome back to the podcast. It's been a while. Um, Today, we're here with Mellany Gomez, who is a music therapist, and her business is called Melodic Goals. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so again, my name is Mellany. I established Melodic Goals, which is a music therapy and wellness company, in July 2023. So we're a little over 2 years old now, which is really exciting. Yeah, I'm a board certified music therapist. I'm a Connecticut licensed music therapist, which is really cool. The mission of my company really is to provide access to music therapy services, art, forms of movement to the community. All ages, all abilities are welcomed, and yeah, I guess my mission is really just to allow people to on my website. I say like rediscover your voice.
Yeah. Sorry to
Um,
repeat the copy on your website.
yeah. But I think it's so important. Like growing up, like I was really shy and like using music or like musical theater and something like art based was like a way for me to kind of express myself and like make new friends, make new connections. And so like when I listen to music, it's really like this big piece of me because I'm able to connect with so many people through it,
Right.
and that's how I found my voice. So yes, it might be like a little corny like to some, but like I think it's so important for people who like are still trying to find themselves, like rediscover themselves. Maybe they're searching for the first time.
Right.
It's a place where you can find your voice, and you can do it through music, you can do it through art, you can do it through movement. Yeah, and I just want the community to know that we're here and ready to kind of support however we can.
So, was this always the goal?
So I have really big dreams.
Tell me.
I feel like I am like constantly trying to find new ways or like think of new ways to provide more like services, opportunities, activities,
Right.
interventions. So way back when, maybe like elementary school, middle school, high school, I knew that I always wanted to like help people. When I got to high school, I discovered that music therapy was an actual like degree and like
Yeah.
profession that you can get. I was like, wait, people actually do this thing?
Right.
Like what? So I knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that I wanted to use music as a modality to help people.
Right.
And so that's kind of like how it started.
Now, when you came out of school, did
Mhm.
you jumped right into the business, or you worked somewhere else
I
first?
worked somewhere else first.
Okay.
I was just like a staff music therapist. I did some like social media coordination. I did private music teaching. But like my main focus was just kind of like building up my skills as like a new professional. So I did a
Right.
lot of music therapy, a lot of different age groups. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked outpatient. I've done preschools. I've done hospice. I've done so. I'm really like I have like a lot of different experience in a lot of
Right.
areas. I've worked in schools. I've been like on IEP teams and things. So like I've
So
worked.
they actually write you into IEPs.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
I would imagine that a lot of people out there don't even know that music therapists exist. Do you feel like
Right.
you're rare in the diaspora of therapeutic services?
I would definitely say so. Music therapy as like a actual profession, I believe didn't start until I want to say like 60s or 70s. There
Okay.
wasn't an actual like qualification or like certification for it. Of course, people have been using music for healing forever.
Yeah.
But as like an actual profession, it's like still fairly new. Connecticut actually recently started a music therapy program at Southern University. But before that, there were no music therapy programs in Connecticut at
Right.
all. So I actually went to Massachusetts for school when I was in school.
What
Um,
school did you go to?
I went to Anna Maria College.
Okay.
It's
Where's
in
that?
Paxton,
Paxton, Mass.
Massachusetts. It's
Okay.
like 20 minutes west of Worcester.
Okay.
So not too far from here.
Yeah.
But it was like nice to kind of like start new and like try to just kind of see what goes
Yeah.
on and what happens and make new connections and things. Unfortunately, that program had to shut down a couple years ago, so it's
Really?
actually not there anymore. But there are other music therapy programs that have opened up in its place at other schools.
Right.
So that, it's kind of like the window of hope of like, it's
Yeah.
still thriving. It's just that school in particular just wasn't able to keep the program going.
It seems like the arts, and I used to run a art school for a long time in Baltimore. It seems like the arts are given such little importance
Hmm.
that I could see um, folks not necessarily wanting to spend their budget on that. Have you found periods of time where it's difficult to find places to implement your services?
Yeah, I mean, the really scary thing I think that happened, and of course, this is for a lot of people, but I actually graduated from college in 2020. So, like, I spent all this
It was
time
like
working on
yesterday.
this degree, and I was like, everything's closed. And I was like, how am I supposed to do this thing
Oh
that I
yeah,
worked on, like, in person for so long? And then it's like, we have to do this virtually. Like, how's this going to go? And so I was fortunate enough to find the job that I did, and they had moved to a virtual model. So I had like trying to take my skills and like kind of apply them like virtually, and it worked out. And
my initial thought is that I wonder if that was an advantage though, because people were scrambling to figure out what to do, how
right,
to fill time, right?
yeah.
And if there's, having other options,
Hmm.
might have been a help. I don't know.
I think because
Oh,
the company that I was working for kind of like took the initiative and created that kind of like pathway for the
yeah,
clients. That's why it worked out. But I know a lot of programs that ended up like shutting down that had music therapy that like
right,
are like recently starting to like get the services back because it
yeah,
just took so long. And again, like with funds, it was like, well, if we don't really need this thing right now, like we're not going to use it, even though it can be beneficial in so many ways, you
right.
know.
I mean, teletherapy seems to have been really born during that time,
Mhm.
and is the go-to way for a
Mhm.
lot of places. So I've heard somebody ask this about an art therapist.
Mhm.
Ask this to an art therapist before. What's the difference between music therapy and just music class?
Oh, I love that question. So I usually answer it kind of like with an example. So I say with a music education, right? You're using music to work on musical goals.
Okay.
In music therapy, you use music to work on non-musical goals. So those goals might be social, emotional, communication, cognitive, intellectual. Um, you might have a physical like rehabilitation, something like that. And so a music teacher, might use piano to teach piano, right? So you're learning very specific skills on piano. You're going to become a better player. You're
Yeah.
going to learn how to read sheet music. You're going to know how to like play the notes and what you're playing, like all that kind of stuff. So the music is there to teach the music
Mhm.
concepts. A music therapist might use piano to work on fine motor skills. It might be for memory, it might be for frustration tolerance, it might be for emotional expression. And so even though music is still at the center, the goals that we have in mind are more like occupational. They're going to be more like life skills, functional skills, as opposed to just music skills.
But the music is what kind of provides the keys for the participant
Yeah.
to participate, right? Like,
Right. It's the motivation, it's
yeah,
the entertainment
right,
sometimes, it's the thing that like keeps you going. It's the natural connection, it kind of creates an incentive that, when you play a note, like you automatically feel
yeah.
good, like you want to play
Feel
more.
like you did something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so yeah, so music kind of becomes that centerpiece that creates all the other things. It's the cause
yeah.
to the effect. Yeah.
Do you do you find, or have you found in the past, some folks just discovering that they have an interest in music
Hmm.
through this?
Yeah, I've had like almost the opposite happen where people will ask me what I do and then they're like, "Oh, like I don't know music. I can't do that." And I'm like, "You don't have to know music to do
Right,
music therapy." And like some people find that they really get into music a lot more because of it. And I think that's because in music therapy you kind of learn how to use music more intentionally.
right.
So, whether it's for mood, whether it's to like work on a specific skill, the music interest kind of gets increased for some people, some people already love it and that's what they do. But
Yeah.
for people who are kind of like hesitant, sometimes it kind of creates a new opportunity, a new option for
Right.
them, which is really cool.
It's interesting. I was thinking on the way here um, that the whole world really uses, most of the world uses music as therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's just listening to music, playing music,
Mm-hmm.
um, even watching, music videos and being involved in that world.
Right.
Um, but I imagine that people don't take that into account when they're thinking about whether or not to participate in music therapy because it
Right.
sounds more intimidating,
Yeah.
right? Um, so, do you serve young people and adults, or
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Yeah. My company. So I have two wonderful staff that like work with me, and so one of them primarily works with preschool, so like daycares, or like 0 to 5 really, so that's your infants, toddlers, preschool kind of like area. And then she also works with adults, which is going to be anything between like 18 to 65.
yeah,
And then she also works in senior centers, so that could be just like general rehab, but it can also be memory care.
okay,
So we really work with all different ages and like abilities with people. We work in small groups, we work in larger groups. We have individual clients. We have sometimes like families who come together. So it's really cool that we can use music therapy, but like in different modalities, kind of.
right.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about how a session might go, right? And but before I do that, outside of music therapy,
Mhm.
who are you? What are you into? What are your other interests? I imagine you have interests outside of that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do really love music. It's funny actually. I was a couple weeks ago, I had kind of like this aha moment. I was listening to a musical in the car. It was The Lion King, like the
Okay.
Broadway version, and I was like, "Wow, like I really just love music, like
Yeah.
And I use it to dance, I use it to sing, I use it to cry, I use it to laugh. So music is like a big portion of my
So you
life.
don't have to escape work.
No, and
It
that's
is
that's
literally
the
your
cool
passion.
thing
Yeah, yeah.
too. And of course, like it's important to take breaks, and I found some podcasts that I listen to now, just to like kind of keep my mind like busy and kind of active and experiencing different things. So I think it's important to do that too. But outside of music entirely, I really love sports.
Okay.
So I did soccer for I think like 8 or 9 years. And then when I aged out of soccer, I was introduced to Muay Thai. And so I started doing Muay Thai, which is it's a form of like Thai boxing. So it was based in Thailand.
So it's the art of eight
It's the
limbs.
art of 8 limbs. Yes,
That's
exactly.
interesting because I might have read something about that.
Yeah.
And as you see, we have the instrument, so I was trying to relate. But I imagine
Oh my
you
gosh.
might know what these things are all about, right?
I actually have my gear in my bag because I'm gonna
Right.
go train later today.
I won't ask to spar, but
Oh
that
my
is
god.
we share that interest. Absolutely.
That is so
I
funny.
was gonna ask
Yeah.
you, are you a Nakmoy?
And Nakamura,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I
Or I was
am.
just gonna start going,
Right.
oi.
That's the thing. Yeah. So I do Muay Thai. I've been training as an adult since I believe 2021. So I think it's been 4 years. Um it's been
I'm
four
just gonna
years.
put
Oh.
these up there for aesthetic
I
purposes.
love it. Green's my color too. Um, yeah, so I've been doing Muay Thai for 4 years as an adult.
Okay.
I started competing in 2022, so about a year after I started training as an adult. I've competed 9 times
Oh,
now, which is
really?
really cool. So I'm 5-4.
Uh-oh.
I just actually a little celebration to myself, but to share with you guys in not October, in August this year, I went to Delaware. They have a World Kickboxing Association, and so they have a Muay Thai tournament and a kickboxing tournament. So I registered for the Muay Thai tournament, and so I was in like the open division, which is kind of like the next step up for that that association, and so I won this year's tournament, which was really cool.
Excellent,
um,
excellent.
yeah,
Um,
so that was like that was a really really amazing moment, and I actually got invited to the international team, so I might
that's
have the
awesome.
opportunity to compete again internationally for USA in Indonesia or in Panama next year.
Check
So
you out.
that's really
Okay,
cool.
all right. Maybe I don't want to spar.
Oh my god. um,
That's cool. So, you train? Where do you train?
I train at Thornton Martial
I was
Arts.
gonna guess it.
Yeah,
I
in
was
East
gonna guess
Hartford.
it.
Yeah,
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 I've
yeah.
trained there.
Yeah,
I've
have
trained there
you?
a bunch. Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
crazy. You'll have to stop
yeah, yeah,
by.
yeah. Yeah, I know a bunch of people there. That's cool.
Yeah.
So back to what a session looks like, what a typical day looks
Hmm.
like. So start with the typical day, and then um, I kind of want to hear some examples of a session with a young person.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're not trying to expose
No, of
any
course, of course.
information, but
Yeah.
and then what it might look like for an adult.
Right. So this is also like this is usually the hardest part of like explaining, because music therapy is still a form of therapy, right? Every client or group that I see has specific goals and objectives that I'm like working towards with them, that I'm supporting them through. So with everyone that I see as a music therapist, they get an assessment just like, you would if you go to the doctors, or like if a nurse is checking you out, like you want to make sure that, like where is like that person's baseline,
Yeah,
right? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? And then how can I use all of this information that I've gotten within the assessment period to create appropriate goals and objectives for that individual? So, with a young child, I'll give an example. Let's call her Jay.
hmm,
She came to me with her family. Her family was interested in music therapy services because she was diagnosed with a learning disability.
okay,
She's about, I believe, like 4 years old at the time, having little trouble with like letters, recognizing and identifying like what's capital, what's lowercase, what they sound like, all that
right,
kind of stuff. So it was really like more academic centered for this particular client. So I started working with Jay. We usually start, for most of my clients. Again, it really just depends on who it is. I start with like some type of like grounding, centering, like song or chant or something like that. So I have a song that I usually do with her. So me and Jay sing this hello song. We get ourselves like into music. And then I usually give her some options, because I think the important part, or especially about like what I do like as a music therapist, and there are different like uh there are different like modalities of music therapy that you can use. Some people take humanistic approaches, some people are more like behavioral approaches. Like I think I like to take a very holistic approach when I'm working with clients, and I take a very playful approach as well. So I never want a client to feel like they're here and they have to do this task, right?
right,
Like I'm not a teacher, I'm not, I some people like could consider me like a mentor, right? And so how can I support your needs, not necessarily tell you what to do?
right.
Um,
Did you find that approach more difficult to implement when you've been in schools?
it depends. Like when I'm working on IEPs, definitely.
Okay,
Because IEPs are more like specific, right? Like there's like goals that we really have to meet. It might be this person needs to do this thing X amount of times in this amount of like time frame. And so in those cases, we make it as flexible as we can, but I definitely make sure that I'm focusing more on like that more tangible goal. With a client like Jay, who's kind of just working on academic concepts, I can kind of take a easier approach, a more flexible approach. She's only 4, right, at the
right,
time. So I want to make sure that she's staying motivated, that she's happy, that she's engaged, all that other stuff too. So usually I'll give her some choices. I might say, do you want to do our alphabet song? Do you want to work on numbers today? Like, what are
okay,
we going to do first? So it's
yeah,
usually like a first, then, or a first next, right?
okay,
So she kind of gets to lead her sessions, which gives her a sense of empowerment. It gives her autonomy. But it also, I think it provides her motivation because she's the one choosing what she wants to do.
right,
And of course, we're still going to do the things that I think are going to be appropriate and going to help her, benefit her. but I could be flexible in how I approach that. And I think music allows me to do that kind of with ease.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the general idea of like, a younger child with an academic need.
Okay.
I also work at a alternative high school now, and so that population is very heavy with mental health like needs and like behavior needs.
Yeah.
So those sessions look like very very different than a standard like adult in an adult day center
Right.
kind of session too.
And so when you're working, I assume this is this teenagers, high
Yeah,
school.
teenagers.
I bet you I know which one. But
Yeah.
what? Tell me how that's different. So I'm very familiar. I've worked in a lot of alternative schools.
Okay. Yeah.
So if they come with you with the typical um, emotional disabilities or behavioral
Hmm.
issues, um, how do you engage? What kinds of things go on? How
Yeah.
does that work?
Yeah, so again, like I like to take an approach where like each, student in the scenario is being looked at as like their own unique person. And so with some of my high schoolers, they come in, they want to share a song that they've worked on.
Okay.
It might be a little violent, and like there are some students where we can kind of take it apart and be like, why did you write this? What was your inspiration? How are you really feeling? How does this relate to your life? And we can kind of get like a little more like deep with what we speak about, allowing them to reflect and kind of like progress in like their emotional development. Because I feel like some of them are kind of like stuck in, this is the life that I'm given, this is what's around me, and so this is what I need to do. And for a lot of them, they don't even realize that there are other options. So I just kind of like provide them opportunities to just see what else is out there, to see what their other options are. Because, a lot of the times I tell them, just because this is what you were raised to think doesn't mean you always have to think this
Right.
way. I have other students who come in and they want to share a song, might be a little violent again, and I'm just happy that they're sharing.
Yeah.
Like that's important too. A big thing that I noticed in the high schools that I notice a little bit less in like some of the other areas that I work in is this concept of like music as therapy versus music in therapy.
Okay.
So
Explain the difference.
yeah, so when we're using music as therapy, it's the very active music making, it's the singing, it's the sharing music or
Right.
just sharing songs. It's the music that we are creating is what's causing the benefit
Got it.
for that client. When music is used in therapy, it might be more like in depth. So it might be like the songwriting, it might be a song analysis, is where you have like the client choose a song, or maybe I bring a song and I'm like, hey, like, what do you notice? Like, let's kind of pick apart the song and, kind of find the deeper meaning. So the music is used as a therapeutic tool versus like, I guess like indirectly as a therapeutic tool versus directly like we're making the music.
Okay.
So I see that a lot in the high school. Like let's say maybe another example.
And you tend towards the um music as therapy,
I
or it
guess
just varies.
it varies.
Okay.
In the high school, I see music as therapy. I think a little bit. Actually, it really just depends. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like,
Yeah.
it varies. Um, I would say, some of my students come in and they want to learn how to play drums or they want to learn piano. And we have like a decent amount of instruments at the high school, which is pretty cool. So I have like a couple of guitars, I have a keyboard, I have like a pretty like basic drum set, I have like a ukulele. So I
Right.
have a couple of different instruments that they can choose from. And then of course we have like they could beat make. I have like Logic Pro and like Band Lab and like those kind of
Okay.
things. So they will like make beats, they'll record songs. So we have like, the technology kind of side of music,
Yeah.
which is cool too. Um,
And I imagine the conversation all of a sudden is easier
right,
to have while that's
exactly.
going on. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody writes lyrics now as in high school. So
right.
yeah. How does this differ? Do you work directly with the adults, or is somebody else that you work with?
So currently, I don't have many adults on my. I only have one adult, like a one-on-one,
Yeah.
on my caseload right now. But like in the past, I've worked in like large groups with adults. I've worked with like older adults. I've done like a lot of that work too.
And what types of issues are folks bringing to the table where they want to work through it using music therapy
Yeah.
as adults?
No, absolutely. In some, like based on my experience, of course, there are other music therapists that do like more, but what I've experienced so far, I've had adults come like with their families and just kind of create like a more like trying to create more like connection and like bonding. I've seen that a lot.
So they all are playing.
Yeah, like
That's
playing
cool.
together. Yeah, no,
That's
that's really
cool.
cool. Or like we've had like mommy and me classes that like I facilitated with music. And so just having like, parents with their like young like little
Yeah.
ones. And so like, we're giving the parents resources to use outside of the
Right.
therapy space. 'Cause I think that's important too, right? Because you can go to therapy and you can like learn this concept, but if you can't apply it outside of therapy, then like
Right.
what's the point? So just giving them like guidance and resources and like music centered resources too,
Yeah.
for them to utilize. So like I've done that a lot. I've done some like rehabilitation with some like adults. I worked with an adult who was in his 60s who had a heart attack,
Uh-huh.
which caused a stroke, I believe. And so he used to play guitar and like sing and songwrite, and he couldn't really do that after the stroke. And so after working with him for a while, like we started to see some like fine motor
That's
skills, like
great.
his respiratory was like getting like stronger, so he was able to sing for longer. And so
That's
I
awesome.
saw him and his wife's like quality of life just kind of increase and like
Yeah.
improve because he was just able to do more with himself, just with the music, which is really
That
cool.
must be really rewarding for you to know
Yeah.
that you're a part of that process.
Yeah.
Um, that's great. Let's talk about where you go from here, right? So you kind of, I mean, you've had a pretty awesome start
Hmm.
to your career. So what happens next? Is this, have you just found your niche and this is what it is, which there's no problem with that, but or is there another goal that you have your sights set on other than winning the world champion of
Oh my gosh.
Muay Thai? But
Right. Yes, I definitely want to keep doing sports. But one thing that like I really like, my life would be complete if I could do this thing. So I used to go to a boys and girls club when I was younger, and there were certain aspects of being there that I just loved. Like there was like the Smart Girls program where the girls would like learn like dances, and we'd go on trips, and we'd like connect with other girls that were like around our age. And like for someone like me who was like super shy at the time,
yeah,
like just having the option to just kind of be involved, even if it was indirectly, like I might have not been raising my hand,
yeah,
but just like knowing that there were other people who like when they saw me they said hello, and just like having that extra like connection was super important to me like
yeah.
as a kid. And so in my heart of hearts, like if I could create a facility where young adults and like youth could go and like have like a safe space and could have access to music therapy, to like art therapy, dance therapy, like music classes, even sports. Like I think it's super important to not separate like art and like music and movement.
Yeah.
So if I could also offer like soccer, because I did soccer for a long time, if I can offer Muay Thai classes, um, and like even more really, like my goals are just, I really want this to be a space where like the community can come and feel safe and feel like they belong, and they can learn a cool skill. They
Yeah.
can like have this like foundational like therapy that like kind of grew this program or this facility. But they have access to all these like arts and like sports and things like
That's a
that.
that's a great idea. I happen to know somebody who would want to collaborate with you on that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Um, and I'll invite you to the Edarchy Idea Lab where we grow ideas like that.
Okay.
Um, that's great. That's a great goal. Kids need places like that
Hmm.
that aren't school.
Yeah.
Um, my dream is that schools would look like that, but um, they need a place that's another home
Hmm.
where they can develop who they're going to be
Right.
outside of their school schedule and the bells and all that.
Right.
Um, all right. So I'm going to ask you the questions. You've seen these interviews. I'm going to ask you the questions that I ask everyone.
Okay.
Um, and then we'll do little something a little different. But um, this one will be interesting for you. What's your favorite sound?
My favorite sound. Hmm. Do I have to pick one?
No, no, not at
Okay.
all.
I really like drums or just like bass. I think that like feels very like calming for me. Um, but I also really like. I'm trying to think of like what the sound. I can like hear it in my head, but I'm like, it's kind of. I feel like it has to be some type of like synthesizer on the piano or something. But there's like certain sounds that I did jazz for like a long. I like played jazz for like a
Yeah,
long time, and I had a high school teacher that really got me obsessed with jazz. And
yeah,
so I think like I don't even know if it's a sound necessarily or like a mood or like a tone. Like
yeah.
there are certain aspects of music that like will actually give me like goosebumps if I hear it.
Energy.
Like yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So like certain melodies. Are you familiar with an A chord?
A chord.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that's your A minor. Okay. So I'm gonna give you an A major chord. So it's actually gonna be. So you're gonna be on your second fret,
yeah.
and you're gonna put your fingers down on. Do you usually count your strings from like 6 being the top string?
6 being the top.
Okay, gotcha. I always double check with my students because some of them know like it differently. So if 6 is your top string, your pointer finger is gonna be on 4.
Yeah.
Your middle is on 3, and your ring is on 2.
Here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's your A chord, and so that's gonna be like our bass. We're gonna be in the key of A because I love the key of A. So go ahead and just like give yourself a nice little pattern. All right. So I'll teach you your second chord. We're gonna do a D major chord, and so you're gonna take your pointer finger. We're gonna stay on fret 2. So pointer finger is on string 3, middle finger is on string 1. And okay. And then slide that ring finger up to your to fret 3. So that's your D chord. Let's go back to our A chord. There we go. Perfect. See, you know what you're doing. And I'm gonna give you one more chord. We're gonna do an E major chord. So we're gonna go ahead and put fingers 2 and 3. We're gonna go on fret 2, strings 5 and 4. Your pointer finger is going to go ahead and play on fret 1, string 3. So that's going to be your E. Then we're going to go back to A chord. Alright. So I'll sing super slow. We'll just go through it nice and slow. So if we're at the top, we'll say, here's a little song I wrote. Let's go ahead and switch to our D chord. It might help if you sing it note for notes. Let's go to our E chord. You got it. Move that pointer finger to string 3. There you go. Don't worry. B. And that brings you right back to your A chord. You stay on A this time, and I'll play, and then we're gonna switch.
Okay.
All right. So we'll sing. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, give it a try. So you're on your A chord, and can you move to D? You gotta bring your pointer finger down 1 string. There you go. Move your ring finger to your fret 3. Slide it over just a little bit. There it is. Ooh. Go ahead and give me that E chord next. There it is. Ooh. Let's go back to A. Ooh. And now you know how to play the song.
Thank you very much for that.
Nice.
That's great.
And you remember them pretty quick. That was impressive.
So my style is to get really. Now watch, I'll go home and I'll get really into it and I'll play for a while and I'll start to feel like, oh, there's some success, and then I'll stop for a year.
A year? Well, hopefully not a year now that you know me. You'll be like, Mellany's thinking about it.
Right. So this project, this halftime podcast, is all about building community. Personally, for me, it's about not being so solo and coming back outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And connecting. I really like. I'm obsessed with ideas. I have so many ideas I can barely sleep sometimes, and so that's what the Idea Lab is about. And then figuring out how to connect with folks that either on the podcast or that I run into in different spaces, and figure out how to collaborate or be a part of their world, right? And sometimes that seems difficult, but even in our conversation, I mean, the center that you're talking about, that is right up my alley.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just inviting you to further conversations, possibility and being open to some possibility.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, anytime I, talk about like what I do, I find a way to connect with someone in some capacity. Like maybe it's not they do music, but maybe they, want to create a facility like it. Maybe they are doing yoga. Maybe they somebody, like everybody has something that they can bring to the table, I think. And sometimes we, even like personally, like I think sometimes we forget like what we can give.
Yeah.
But just like remembering that and using it to help others.
I like that you said we forget what we can give. Because sometimes we're looking for something, aka we're looking to get, right? We're starving. We're looking for something to fill a gap.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, the best way to figure that out or to achieve that or to get what you need is to give, right? If you come outside and you start giving your time, giving your ideas, giving your compassion, all those things,
right.
It's almost immediate that gap gets filled for you. And I imagine that's what you find in your profession.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Muay Thai is a little different if you.
I mean, you get what you give. I would agree.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same, I guess.
Right.
Again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
This is Halftime.